Los Angeles continues to be the epicenter of the nation's immigration crackdown.
But the Trump administration is making moves all across the U.S. and even overseas. Joining us now is CBS immigration reporter Camilo Montoya. Camilo, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I'm sure you have so much to follow right now, but we do want to start with the ICE raids before we talk about things happening overseas. Sure. And let's talk about numbers. You've been on the ground during these ICE raids. How many arrests are we seeing? We know we're seeing a lot, but how many? And how does it compare with prior administrations?
Well, guys, there has been a dramatic expansion in immigration enforcement operations across the country, especially in recent weeks. According to official data obtained by CBS News, there are currently more than 56,000 detainees in ICE detention centers across the country. That is a record for that agency. ICE right now is averaging between 1,300 and 1,600 daily arrests across the country, including in Southern California. That is up by more than 100% since the president's first 100 days in office. But it is still well below the 3,000 daily arrest mark that the White House and officials like Stephen Miller are demanding. So the agency is planning to ramp up arrests, but clearly they already have to some degree. And that is obviously one of the catalysts behind the protests here in Southern California.
And what are you seeing when people are being detained? I mean, I think there's this idea that there are all these, as the president has said before, bad hombres getting reined in. But is that always the case?
Well, it is true that ICE is still detaining some undocumented immigrants who are here illegally and also have criminal charges or convictions, including for violent offenses. But many of the migrants who are being picked up by ICE are also just undocumented immigrants who are in the country without permission but have no criminal record otherwise, including day laborers. And now we're seeing workers too. We saw a large-scale operation in Nebraska going after workers who are here illegally but are not criminals.
But you had even a member of Congress just yesterday saying, look, you can't jump the line. Like you came in illegally, you gotta pay your dues just like the rest of us.
That's the administration's argument, that even though many of these people are not criminals, they are still technically here in violation of immigration law and should face consequences.
Do you see them ramping up and reaching that 3,000 mark of arrests?
It's going to be logistically and operationally very difficult for ICE to do that. That would be an unprecedented number for the agency. But right now the administration is asking Congress for billions of dollars in extra funding so ICE can hire 10,000 additional deportation officers and to expand detention capacity from 50,000 to 100,000 beds.
Okay. You know, I lived in Florida for a very long time, and you had a lot of Cuban refugees. You had a lot of Haitian refugees. I mean, those countries, you know, their administration's very, very terrible, right? And so these migrants came here. The Trump administration now revoking the legal status of hundreds of thousands of people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. This is ending a Biden-era program. But what happens to these migrants now if it's just gone? Well,
the Department of Homeland Security is telling these 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela that they must leave the country voluntarily, that they should use a smartphone app known as CBP Home to sign up for self-deportation. Otherwise, the Department of Homeland Security is warning them that they will be found, arrested, and forcibly deported from the country and banished for many years. So
back to countries that really are, I mean, these people are fleeing these countries because of the conditions.
Haiti and Venezuela, for example, are still in deep political and economic crisis. You have repressive governments still in Cuba and Nicaragua. So the argument from the advocates would be that these migrants would be returning to unsafe and dangerous conditions.
Right, but they're being forced to go back. All right, I know you're following so much overseas and around the world, but we did want to focus on those ICE raids since they're especially happening here. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, Camilo.